Hi, everybody. It's Daphne here at Lorem, sitting down with Chuck Borden, the man behind the movie, The Hitman's Bodyguard. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Trying to stay warm as usual here in Ohio. Our weather's
Oh,
bipolar.
yeah, no, it's trust me, it's about 35 degrees here right now. So I understand what you're coming from.
Yeah, definitely. So let's just jump right into it. What made you
Okay.
decide to start making and directing films?
When I first started out, I really didn't come into this to be a director. I was an athlete growing up, and as a kid, you don't really get focused on what you want to do. And I had this list of ideas, and it's like I wanted to be an astronaut, I wanted to be a race car driver, I wanted to be a professional athlete, I wanted to be, all these things. And on that list was a stuntman. I never knew how to do it. And when I was still in high school, I was working at a place, a go kart place, and the assistant manager was probably my best friend at the time. And we used to take the cars out in the middle of the night after we closed and just race around. And he's like, "Oh my God, my buddy Mike would love this." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, he's a stuntman." I'm like, "He's a what?" And so we met, and I told him the same thing. I've always wanted to be a stuntman. I wonder how it was. Like, well, come to the set with me. And I came to a movie set with him. The first movie set I was on was Fast Times at Ridgemont High for the football stuff, and they were doing it, and I was just a guest, and I was hooked from day one. It's like, oh my God, you guys are getting paid for this. This is what I do on weekends for fun. So I got in as a stuntman. Well, that was the introduction. It took me quite a while. It took me actually 3.5 years to get in the union, but the seed was planted, and then I was like, there's nothing else I'm doing. So I got into it to be doing stunts, and then as I got into stunts, I started figuring out like, okay, this is great, but they're doing this wrong, and I can make this better. So I started coordinating stunts, and then even then, it's like the director was still, I want to do it like this way, like, but this would be cooler. It's like, man, this is the way I want to do it. And so now it's like the next step is like, all right, I know we can do this better. So then give me a position where I have the say, and directing and producing is kind of where that led me to. So I still do stunts. I still enjoy it. I love action movies, but yeah, I just want a little bit more control to make the films what I thought were cooler.
Yeah. Everybody, I mean, that's what a lot of people, that's the main thing we all talk about. Everybody starts somewhere, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really matter if you start as an extra, a PA, any of that, because you're going to end up learning everything eventually, unless you just want to be an actor, and you end up running the machine pretty much. It's fun. It is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where I was like when I started. I did, like I said, I was telling you, it took me 3.5 years to get into the Screen Actors Guild. I worked for a year doing background. I was a production assistant. I was a grip. I did camera. I pulled cables. I actually got my SAG card working in the art department. So I've worked in almost every department in the industry.
Yeah.
So which is a huge plus because I now have an understanding of all those departments and what it takes. And so many times, just people not even in the business or even people in the business that just don't understand how much work goes into, say, the art department or say, the production design or costuming and stuff like that because they've never done it. Like, guys, this is not. You just don't go out and buy something off a rack and it's like, okay, here we go. It's not the way it works.
Yeah.
So it's helped me a ton because I do understand all the different departments because I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I learned. I started doing the extra work, and then I was doing production management because I was used to running my own business before I got into all of this business. I gave that business up. I was waiting on my son to return from the army to take that business over. And if he gets out, if he still wants it, he can have it. It doesn't matter. But I mean, when you get on them sets, you get hooked. Like I told a friend of mine, Donnie Brooke, that was Tim Sutton who directed that. And it was 3 cold nights on set from 5 at night till 5 in the morning. And it was probably about 13 degrees out. And I'm the only idiot, in shorts and a tank top, freezing. But I had so much fun after I did that. And I was muddy, and it was a blast. I was hooked after that. I
Yep,
love
yep. I did a similar thing. Well, I was fortunate. I worked on. There was a movie called Back to the Beach back in the '80s, I guess, and I was just getting into stunts, and so I got hired to be out on the water in a catamaran kind of riding this catamaran around. And meanwhile, it's a beach movie. When do you shoot the beach movies? January, February. It's freezing cold. And I'm looking at all these extras and stuff like that, and bikinis and shorts, and it's just freezing cold. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm in the water. It's cold, but at least I have a wetsuit on. Yeah, it's
Kind of felt
it's
bad
back.
for him, huh?
And then you go to the summer, and then you're shooting the Christmas movies, and it's 100 degrees outside. You got a freaking down jacket on. It just doesn't make sense.
I
But
know the
that's
times that they shoot films is so I don't get it because they will film the winter films in the summer and then they'll film all the summer films in the winter. So no matter
and
what,
it's,
if you're even doing extra work, you can't win. You're not going to
yeah,
win.
you're not going to. And that's just the way it is. And it's built around the distribution and stuff. Like, okay, we got to shoot this now to get it done for the summer, and it just happens to be winter time. It's like, all right, that's the way it is. And, we accepted this job, so bite the bullet.
Right, I know. Okay, so what is your most favorite film that you've actually worked on?
Um, in my case, it was a movie called Dark Man, um, with Liam Neeson. I doubled Liam Neeson hanging from the helicopter, and the movie was okay. It was Sam Raimi's first kind of breakout film for the studio, and it kind of launched his career. But in my case, it was because the stunt we did. I was hanging from this helicopter for 4 weeks, you know, swinging around on a 30-foot cable, with a police helicopter chasing us through downtown LA, and it was the craziest, most fulfilling stunt I've ever done, just because of how wacky it is, and
4 weeks.
well,
You were
well,
on
well, we were only able to shoot on weekends because we basically were shutting down downtown LA
yeah.
because we were below the proper heights and stuff like that. We were going down to street levels, and then we go up over the top of the skyscrapers. So we were all over the place. So the only way we can do that is by closing the grid, and that was you can't close down downtown LA Monday through Friday. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we would go out weekends and shoot it. And we'd shoot, from 6 in the morning until it got dark. And it was just nonstop. Go under these helicopter. It was fun. It was brutal. It beat me up, but it's a memory that I'll never forget. Just because, and it'll never be done again. Because now with CGI, they're not going to take that risk and that cost. They'll
Yeah.
just CGI it. Like it's a shame.
Yeah. Or use drones. A lot of people,
Yep.
they're using the drones. You could probably, I mean, if somebody went and got the footage, they just, yeah, work it in, CGI it in. It takes all
Yeah.
the fun
But
out of it,
I do
man.
that.
It takes the fun right out of it.
It really does. Listen, I love CGI. It's done a lot for the industry, but I think it's done too much. I think it's overused and it's not used properly. The whole idea with anything, whether it's CGI or stunts, it's supposed to enhance the film. It's not supposed to be the film. Unless it's an action film, it's all about the action, then that's a different story. But you still have to have a story of some sort. The
Yeah.
same thing with CGI. When you have a 100% CGI movie, I'm watching a video game and I just don't enjoy it personally. The newer crowd likes it, but I don't. I'm old school. I like the old way of doing things, and there's a time and a place for CGI and for the rest of the stuff. And then there's times when it's just practical is right.
I completely agree with you. I mean, all of these movies, I'm not knocking the movies,
No,
but
either.
it's not fun, especially even acting because you're there by yourself. Well, I mean, not by yourself, but you're doing it all basically with this, the green
Yeah,
screen. It takes all the fun out of it, say they've got the motorcycle stationary and you don't even get to ride. And I love to ride motorcycles, I love to ride them. And it would ruin it for me.
yeah. No,
It would.
agreed, and that's why I said I think because of the experience under the helicopter on Darkman, that becomes my favorite. It's just so memorable, and because it was real, it was 100% real, and there was CGI added into it but in those days, and that was like I think we shot it like '89, something like that, um, and the CGI was horrible. It was really shaky at best, so you had to do it real, and we found and what I liked about it is you had to come up with a way to how to shoot it. It's nowadays you come up, it's like, all right, here's the script and we want to do this thing. And it's not practical, can't do it. And so they go, okay, we'll just do it with CGI. Like, let's try to do something and make it work. And the nowadays it's changed, and it's just too easy to go back to CGI.
Yeah, but I mean, it's almost like the directors and writers and everybody, they're split into the groups to where we've got CGI in the movies, like Marvel's over here, and then we've got um the people, with these other movies over here, the documentaries, reality series, and then we've got people like us who are old school, and we just love to do the shit, you know. We just love it. It
Exactly. And I do love what CGI does for a lot of stuff. I work with Mike Flanagan for quite a few of his movies, and he does it right. We shoot stuff for real, and he enhances it with CGI, and you can't really tell the CGI, and that's what makes it magic. I mean, and that's where I think that's where it should be. It is make it real. The audience can tell too. I mean, you watch a Marvel movie, God bless them, they're making a ton of money, they're putting a lot of people to work, but you just look at it as like that's just not even, it doesn't even look real.
Yeah. But I think Marvel, their main audiences are the younger generations. The kids. I volunteer to talk to students to, get them involved in the industry. It keeps them off the streets, and
Like,
keeps them from being out and getting in trouble, and maybe get them interested in different parts of, like I was telling you, from instead of worrying about getting famous on YouTube, there's so much stuff you can learn and do. So I talked to these students, and one of these kids one time, he asked me, he was like, "Would you ever do anything in a Marvel movie if you were offered?" I was like, "Stunts." Just the stunts. I'm all good with everything else. We'll let them, do their thing, but stunts, yes, I would, as far as that's concerned. It's just crazy. So what's your
no,
favorite
it
short
is.
film you've done?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Your favorite short film that you've done?
I haven't made a lot of shorts. I mean, I came through the ranks when there wasn't a lot of shorts, and when by the time I got going and shorts were going, I was kind of already moved into either the television or the film world and stuff. But I have made a couple. I just recently made one that was supposed to be for uh, as a teaser, and it became a short that got nominated for a couple of awards, some festivals and stuff like that. It's called I'm Watching You. And it's a psychological thriller. Two girls on a car trip, and they get stranded and have to stop for gas. And when they go for gas, the one goes in to get the gas, comes back out, the friend's missing, and she's just been abducted. And we just kind of leave it hanging. And it was the whole intention of is like I want to leave this hanging because I want to sell the feature.
Yeah.
It was never meant to be a short, and it just turned out that way. So, I mean, that was kind of one of the ones that I really liked.
Did anybody ever go on to make that, or no?
No, actually, surprisingly, this weekend I was supposed to be working on the scripts again because I'm rewriting it. There's some interest from some friends of mine, and they want to do something that's relatively low budget horror. It's like I got one. I mean, this is great. It's not a big gore movie. It's more suspense. It does have some stuff, but it's the more old school scares and stuff like that. The girl gets abducted, and the other girl's trying to find her. They're in the middle of nowhere, and she's basically trapped inside kind of a prisonish type place that's been closed down, and she's stuck in there. She escapes, but she can't get away. And a friend finds a place, and they're both running around trying to find each other, while this killer is, trapping. So it's just old school, jump scares and shit like that. It's kind of fun.
That kind of fits though. I mean, with today, because it's not like it was back then in the 80s and 90s. And I mean, how we all used to go and run, and street lights come on, we know we got to get our asses home, or our parents are probably going to beat us. And but as far as the human trafficking and sex trafficking and all of that, and the way that they're taking these girls and placing flowers on windows to make them get out to get it, and then they're taking these people, or they're putting drugs on the flowers or business cards and windows, it's scary, and stuff like
Yeah.
that happens every day. And I mean, I love true stories. I love, things like that. And I went to school for criminal justice. It just, all of this stuff, nowadays, there's no way I would let my kids, granted, all of them are grown except for I have a 15-year-old, but there's no way I would let them run the way that I did back then. No way.
I at least feel a little bit better where we're at in the Netherlands. I got twin girls. They're 17. and they're right at that age,
Yeah.
and they're attractive. They can easily be models if they wanted to. They don't care. They don't even want to be in the industry. So I'm really happy about that. Actually, one is just starting university for biology. So, um, but here it's a completely different world. We don't have, I mean, it happens all over the place, but we're in the countryside. We're out in the middle of nowhere. Everybody knows everybody. So, them getting approached by somebody weird is probably not going to happen because everybody kind of watches each other. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit safe. If I was back in LA, I think I'd be scared to death.
Oh yeah, because I mean that's what people don't understand. Like I don't put too much of my children out on, websites because the first thing that if somebody really wants to hurt you, the first thing they're going to go after is your family. And I
Yep.
don't want too many people knowing much about my private life, period.
Yep.
And I mean to hide my kids, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think movies like that should be made.
Oh yeah. No, just if nothing else to bring attention, everybody goes, oh, it was just a movie. It's like, it can happen. Think about it, guys. You're right. It's just a movie. But that's where these lunatics get their ideas is from just a movie.
Yeah. Zodiac.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Okay.
yeah.
So do you
And I'm
have
the
any
same way.
funny stories?
I mean, I don't, I just say I do the same with you. I don't put a lot of stuff on social media and stuff like that. And when I do is like we'll put something together and I'll post some pictures. Like I did a film earlier last year in Paris, and I posted the stuff. And it was, oh my God, you're in Paris. We're going to Paris. I'm like, no, that was 2 weeks ago. Like, you just posted. I'm like, yeah, because I didn't want anybody to know I was gone. My house is now open. So no, I don't post it until well after. I'm like, now if they think, oh, he's in Paris, I'm going to come get his house. No, I'm here and I'm waiting for you.
That's the same thing I do. I'll take the pictures and then I'll edit, if I want to edit some of them and then I'll put them up and people are like, "Oh, are you there now?" No.
Yeah,
That happened a month ago.
it was a while ago. Exactly.
So what kind of funny stories do you have for us?
Oh God. Um, she's probably more than I care to think about. um, they just kind of come up as especially if I get together with a bunch of my buddies and stuff like that, and we're like, remember this, and then we just go off on a tangent and stuff like that. And you know, those are the funny stories. But on set, there's always something goofy, and you start talking, and I can remember being on a set on Hunter when I was first in the business, and we would sit there and as young pups watching the veteran stunt guys, and I'd be hanging back, kind of listening to them tell stories and stuff like that. And then it was probably about 10 years ago. I'm sitting with a bunch of my buddies, and we're telling stories the same way. And I turn over my shoulder, and there's like 3 or 4 guys just like I was, and like listening to the stories. I'm like, holy crap, I'm that guy now. So, they just come up from talking, and it's just fun to kind of reminisce about stuff.
Are you a set prankster?
I can be. I can be. It just depends on the sets. There's some sets that are just high strung and you just don't do it because they don't want to. And there's other ones. Talk about Mike Flanagan when we did Haunted Hill House, the series for Netflix. I was a stunt coordinator on that, and I had already done a bunch of films with Mike. We got to know each other, and so I started playing these pranks. It started as a fluke because we were doing where the cops pull up to the hotel room and stuff like with Henry Thomas and stuff like that. And the cops pull up and stuff like that, and they start questioning him, and he's bloody, and after he leaves the house, and so afterwards they're going, and I told Mike, I says I should come running up because I was in these goofy shorts, and I had a police top on because I was driving a car, but I didn't get out, and so I said I should just come running through down the street and stuff like that. No cop car, nothing, just halfway dressed and stuff like that, and get Henry Thomas' face like, yeah, yeah, do it. And so I did it, and it became this ongoing joke and stuff like that, where Henry Thomas was in interrogate, and they'd come in and he'd be questioning him and stuff like that, and the guy would leave, and all of a sudden I come bursting through the door. It's like, I know you did it, I know you did it. And he just start busting up, so many different times. I everybody laughed, but then you get some of the people that just take their craft way too serious. And I came out once when we were at a gas station, the same series and stuff like that. And I won't mention the actor's name because it's not fair. He was just too serious about it, and he didn't think it was funny at all. I'm like, all right,
You
all
should
right,
have
I'll
put
do
that
it
in
to
the
you anyway.
bloopers reel. That should have went into the bloopers reel.
And it probably did, and it probably did. And the funny part is, that they kept all those things separated. And for some reason, the one in the interrogation room in the police station went to Netflix, and they was like, "Hey, what's this?" And they're like, "Oh my God, we're in trouble now." And they said, "No, it was hysterical." Like, thank God, because we kept it completely on set. It was never going, and all of a sudden it got leaked over to Netflix with the rest of the rushes and stuff. And
That's
oh
funny.
yeah, I thought for sure.
I think that directors, honestly, because I love to watch, when they're recording the bloopers. I love it when they put the blooper reels in. I could
Yes.
sit there and watch those blooper reels. They just need to all get together and take their movies and just make one big, huge like blooper reel of everything that's ever happened. And I really think they could sell that by itself.
Exactly. And Hal Needham did that brilliantly on like Hooper and Smokey and the Bandit and those movies that they did with Burt Reynolds and stuff like that. And the whole ending when you run the credits, the credits roll and everybody leaves the theater and stuff like that. You get a film like that, everybody sticks around, and they may not be paying a lot of attention to the credits, but they're looking at it, but they're watching and they're staying. And like that's filmmaking. And it also shows the other side of us. It's
Yeah.
it gets crazy, and we're not perfect, and and it's fun. I mean, we do have some fun. It's
I mean,
serious at times.
entertaining. I mean, especially working long hours. Everybody, it's 12. I'm back then, since they've put the standards on it, 12 hours, 13, which it always ends up turning into 14, but I mean, that doesn't matter. But back then, and the hours, those are long hours, 12, 15 hours a day, not to mention, even after you're done filming something, your day's not over, because then you
Oh,
get to
not even.
put it all up, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're used to it. The 12-hour day. Tell people it's like, oh, a 12-hour day is a normal day on the set. That's a normal work day, and they're like, no way. I'm like, guys, I worked on the TV series Star Trek, and I was John Delancey's double for Q, and then I was perfect size to be the alien. So I was a Klingon, I was a Cardassian, I was a Jem'Hadar, I was all these different characters. Our call time was 4 in the morning. Actually 4:18, because of the regulations and stuff. The makeup people come in at 4, and they had 18 minutes where they can set up their station before we can come in. So I was there at 4 anyway, so it didn't really matter. But 4:18, and we'd be into overtime by lunch, before lunch actually, because it was just such. And then we go a full day, so we're there 4 hours before call. So then you go a 12-hour day, so that's 16 hours, and then another 2 hours to take the makeup off. That's a normal day. And granted, it wasn't every day, because that they had to give us turnarounds and stuff like that. But it's still, you work an 18, 20-hour day, it, and you're dragging.
Oh yeah, and then by the time you even get back and you eat and do whatever you need to do personally, you're running on 2, 3 hours, if that, if you're lucky to get to sleep. And then you've got to be right back, because that is the job,
Yep,
it's the
exactly.
job.
Exactly. You
It's
know,
crazy.
and you can complain about it, and sometimes you do, but in general, it's like that's the way it is, and I wouldn't change it. I love my experiences, even the crazy long days and stuff like that. Yeah, they're tiring, they wore you out, but man, look back at it, it was awesome. It's such a great experience.
I can imagine the makeup. I mean, even now with those Guardians of the Galaxy movies and then Star Trek and all this, the makeup jobs, I can only imagine, all that sitting there for hours and hours and hours and hours. I
Yep.
did one movie I was going to do. I won't go into too much about that movie, but she did my makeup and I had to look dead. And it was 4 hours, and her makeup job was great.
Oh
But
yeah.
I spent an hour because I'm not used to contact lenses. I don't wear them. So I couldn't get them in my eye at all. I had to have the director come and put them in my eyes and take them back out of my eyes for the
Wow.
scene. It was for one scene. One scene. That was it. I was just like, whoa, it's crazy, you
Yeah,
know?
no, it's nuts. But like I say, then you look back at it, and some of those are the funnest stories and stuff like that. Those experiences on set, we did for Star Trek, and we were shooting up in Sunland. One of the few times we were on location, it usually was at Paramount on stage, but we were shooting the rock quarries in Sunland. It was 130 degrees down the bottom of this rock quarry. We were in full makeup with neoprene suits on, with explosions going off, riding air ends and stuff, getting thrown through the air. And we did most of it in the morning before it got super hot.
Yeah.
But I literally can remember, like, after 2 hours on set, going back to the dressing room, and I didn't even make it. I climbed up into the dressing room and stuff, laid down on the floor, and passed out. I was so beat. I was so gone just from heat exhaustion. And they came like an hour later. It's like, you all right? Holy crap! Yeah. What the hell happened? It's like, yeah, no, you're not the only one. There's like 3 people down. It
So,
happens.
what kind of advice would you give the younger generation or anybody on inspiring to be a
You know
director?
what? And I've done this a while and stuff like that. There's basic rules to film sets,
Mhm.
but just go into it with an open mind. Don't, and that's kind of one of the good things about, as much as I'm not a fan of YouTube and some of the stuff they put on there, the people that go on there, they go into it completely open minded and they do whatever they want. It's a completely new world, and it shows creative sides. It sometimes the stuff works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you don't try it, you're never going to know whether it's something with the camera, whether it's just a way to shoot the scene. Just play, have some fun, and you're going to learn from that. You're going to learn from those experiences and stuff. So have an open mind, and trust the people around you. Especially if you're a young director. Um, I hate seeing young directors because I feel like they're put on the spot. They just went through film school and they did a short, and all of a sudden they get thrown this really juicy feature film. Hey, good for them, but it's really unfair because they're not ready for it,
No.
and you can see they're going in scared to death. I like those. I like to work on those things because I like to be able to step up and almost take the director by the hand and say, "Listen, I've been here. I've done this. I've directed stuff. This is what I think." And I kind of try to guide them along without stepping in their way. And I do it behind the scenes, like, "Hey, this is what I think. What about this?" And they're like, "Oh, that's great." And all of a sudden, they'll go on the set, like, "Hey, we're gonna do it like this." And it was my idea, and I don't do it for credit. It's like I give these guys a break because I know they're sweating bullets. So you got to trust the people around you, especially if you're young and still learning. Everybody has their specialty, whether it's stunts, whether it's lighting, whether it's whatever it might be. They're there for a reason. Let them do their job. Don't overpower too many people. Well, I'm the director, I'm going to be in control. That's a power trip, and you're not going to get what you want. So let the trust the people around you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there are the younger people, that come in and they are scared. I do this thing with some of my actors, and because I have my roster, and when they're
Yeah,
showing their videos, I could just tell. And I'm like, why are you nervous? It's just me, you know. Why there's not 20 million people here, this is just between us. Why are you nervous? And they get scared. Like when I first got into the industry, yeah, I was nervous. I was.
sure.
But then once you get to know everybody and you're making friends and contacts, you're talking every day, there's no reason to be nervous anymore at this point, you
Yeah.
know.
And I mean, and I still, 35 years in this, I still get nervous going on and on. I'm directing a sequence and stuff like that, or directing a film. I'm still nervous because I understand the pressure's on me.
Yeah.
So, and I got to remind myself exactly what I just said. It's like, trust your ADs, trust your DP, trust the PAs. Everybody probably has a good idea, and everybody starts someplace, and somebody that you may not think of is going to have a great idea, and you never know where these people are going to go and what they're going to learn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
trust it. And you also got to remember, it's like, okay, it's a business. You got to treat it as a business, but we're not doing brain surgery. This isn't rocket science. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. As long as it don't hurt somebody, it doesn't matter. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that didn't work. Let's try something different. And you just do it. It's but enjoy the process.
Oh,
That's the biggest thing. People get too caught up in it. It's like, just enjoy it. You're living a dream. People would kill to be in my position. And I know that. And so I try to, even the worst sets I'm on, it's like, the worst day, the worst set is still better than working a 9 to 5. Sorry.
That's true. And you know what? A lot of people don't understand, and I can't stress this enough. I even tell some of the actors and stuff I talk to, and they go and they do the short films. And after, if they continue to only do short films, they're not really wanting to advance. But I tell them, I'm like, when you're on these short films, do your job, pay attention, because you don't know, if especially if you don't know these people, you don't know how high up these other people that are working with you on these short films actually are. So,
Yep.
and everybody talks in this industry. And if
Yep.
they see that you're a good worker, you could potentially be brought onto a bigger set.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you talk about stories and stuff like that. I was on a movie set and I was a stunt coordinator on it, and I just happened to have time, and I was going over to craft service table and stuff like that. I was getting something. And the craft service guy, his first movie, first job in the industry, blah blah blah. He's like, what are you looking for? I was like, I was just looking for something to snack on. I said, oh, I got some of this, blah blah. And so as I'm getting stuff, he says, hey, can I ask you a question? I'm like, sure, I got time. And we sat there talking. He was just asking me about the business. What about this? And how do I do this? And blah blah blah. I'm new to this. And so I just talked to him. I just answered his questions and tried to reassure him about certain stuff. About 2 years later, this guy calls me up and out the blue. He's like, I don't know if you remember me. I was a craft service guy in this movie. Like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, yeah. How are you doing? It's like, oh great. I never got a chance to thank you for taking the time that you did, to answer my questions, and nobody else would do that. Like, I was fortunate I had time, so that's just what I do, because nobody, same thing. Nobody did that to me when I was getting started. Very few people did that.
Yeah.
And so I said, no, it's not a problem. He said, well, then let me get to my point. He says, I'm producing a movie. Like, wait a minute. 2 years ago, you were first job as a craft service guy. You produced. He's like, yeah, I produced this movie, and I'd really like you to come out and oversee the stunts and second and direct. Wow. So you're right. You never know who's who, and even if they're nobody, they may be somebody down the road. You
Yeah.
just never know. So
Yeah.
and it's not difficult to be nice to people. And too many people, especially in this industry, we got egos, and it seems like if you don't stroke it the right way, people get bent out of shape. It's like, get over yourself. You're not anything special. Just treat people nice and enjoy the process.
Yeah.
But but we
A
can't do
lot
that.
of people, some people, they go to extremes and then they turn into divas, and that's one thing I can't get on board with that, because I'm not somebody who likes divas. I can't click with them. I grew up with 8 brothers. I'm a tomboy and a girl, at the same time. And when somebody has the diva attitude, I can't deal with that. I like to deal with down to earth people, you know.
Well, we created ourselves and stuff like that, especially with the actors, young actors coming in there, and I feel bad for them, because they're coming in, their egos like, my first film, blah blah blah. I've been struggling for this, and you get the PAs and everything. What can I get you? Here's your chair, and you're like, okay, da da da, and they just cater to you nonstop. You go after film after film after film doing that, you become expecting it, and you don't try to go out to be a diva. It just happens, and we kind of create our own problems. It's a sad way of doing it, but we do. And when I go out and direct and stuff like that, I don't care if you're Al Pacino or you're the first film ever. I'm gonna treat you the same way.
Yeah.
And I got in a fight with an actress because of one of those things, because I didn't cater down to a thing, and she started calling me out and stuff. I'm like, listen, you know, you could have saved this production a lot of money by being hired as a stunt coordinator on top of your acting job. When I start telling you how to act, and you can tell me how to do the stunts, and until then, leave me alone. And oh, she blew up. I'm like, and the director came over there to talk to her, and he's like, oh my god, what? He's like, I, as politely as I could, I tried to tell her to mind her own business and stuff. She just wants to keep butting in.
Yeah.
And he said, we can't do that. I was like, no, you can't do that. Her safety's in my hands. And if she wants to confront me on stuff, I'm going to explain why it's done the way we do it, but it's in her best interest. If she doesn't want to listen to me, then screw her. Then you can deal with her.
Yeah.
He's like, no, but we can't do this. Like, again, your problem, not mine. I'm sorry, but I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not combative. I don't go in to be combative. But if you push me into a corner because you want to be a diva, I don't have time for that.
Yeah. I
I'll,
mean,
I'll walk
if I was
away.
doing it, I would want to do my own stunts. I mean, this is going to sound, it's something small, minor, but I did a short film a while back, and we were working, me and the guy, we were, rehearsing before we went and shot the scene. And I mean, I was just a dead person. I did it just to do it. And I told him, I was like, grab my hair and pull my head up. And so we were practicing it. And my other friend who was directing, she was like, "You can't do that. You can't do that." I was like, "It's my head. I want it to look real. I want him to do that." So he did. I'm like, and it looks so good,
And
you know.
yeah, and the saddest part is it wasn't even about that thing. I came into the dressing room or into the makeup trailer to introduce her to her stunt double for the day, and it was a scene where she's supposed to be walking down the road. A car goes by, honks, scares her. She falls and rolls down this hill. It's up at the Griffith Park, and so I introduced like, "Hey, this is your stunt double, blah blah blah, for tonight for the fall down the hill." It's like I was meaning to ask you about that. How are we gonna do that? Like, okay, well, it's kind of as scripted. You lose your balance, you fall down, and you roll down this hill. Yeah. Well, I don't want to have leaves in my hair. Well, I'll have the leaves right down the hill then. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, but no, she shouldn't. She should just fall and slide down. It's like it can't because the script says this is where you hurt your leg, which affects your dancing later, and we can't do this. Well, no, no, no. And she just went on and on and on. It's like, and that's what I said. I finally got to the point. It's like, listen, you know, you could save this whole company a lot of money by just tell them you can do the stunts yourself, and you could have saved them from having to bring me in. And oh, she didn't like that at all. And
It's
when I,
just
especially when I told her,
leaves. They make
yeah,
brushes.
and so I had to compromise with it when the director came out. So I had to compromise. She's like, well, what am I going to do? I have to save face. I'm like, okay, listen, we'll do it. We'll do it two ways because I'm sure she's going to be there because she's just that kind of a pain in the ass. I said, we'll do it her way the first time, make her happy, and then I want her removed from the set, and we're going to do it my way. And you can choose what you like best. He's like, fair enough. And I said, and you don't have to tell her, don't even tell her we're doing a second take. Just tell her, we're going to do it and blah, blah, blah. And so she kind of, we did it and she slid down the hill on her butt and flailed around. It looked okay. I mean, it was cheesy, but, and she kind of smirked and walked away and stuff like that. And they start tearing down. It's like, all right, next shot. It's like, no, 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 no. You promised me my shot. It's like, but it worked. That was fine. It's like, no, we're already set. We do exactly the same. I put it up, give me 3 minutes, and we're going to shoot this whole thing again. And sure enough, I go up there and I told Linda, I says, I don't care what it costs me. You make this the biggest fall of your life. I want you ass over tea kettle coming this hill. I want to make it look good. And she's like, copy that. And she did. And she come flying down this hill and took out two stunt guys holding the pad to catch her at the bottom. And and the camera guy even looked at like, holy shit. And the director's like, oh my God, that was great. And it's like, that's why I'm the stunt coordinator.
She done
So,
took out the other stunt guys.
and it's just like, let everybody do their job again. Let everybody. And she's a wonderful actress and stuff. Just act. Don't be a pain in the ass. But she had to be a princess, and it's like, all right.
Yeah. So what skill do you think a director should, possess as far as
Well, obviously, creativity is a big one. You got to be creative. You got to be a storyteller. The director is just that. He's a storyteller. You're just like opening a book and reading to a bunch of kids. It doesn't have to be your story, and in most cases, it's not. But you have to be able to tell the story and make it entertaining. So, being creative and making that work is probably the biggest thing. And it doesn't matter what your background is. My background happened to be action and stuff like that. Now I go into a horror film. It's like, well, this is an action film. It's like it doesn't matter. The means to the goal is the same thing. It's just I go about it a different way. And in my case and stuff like that, when I've hired actors and stuff like that, there's like, who's your favorite actors and stuff like that. I tell them comedians. Like comedians, like, yeah, because comedians do stand up and they're used to just going off the cuff. It's not like, oh, it's script like this. Like, no, it, okay, the script is our Bible and we can follow it, but let's see where we can go with it. We'll do one scripted and we'll do one. I love Robin Williams because of that, because he would just take off on a tangent. I worked with John Candy when way back in the day, and he would just take a scene and steal it and make it his own, and it was brilliant. I just watching, just it was magic, and like this is filmmaking, just going with the flow, and that's why the creative end of it is like, just go with it. Take a scene and make it the most it can be.
I love comedians. One of my favorite actresses, she is definitely one of my favorite actresses. And I'm going to work with this woman one day if she's listening. Melissa McCarthy. I
I
love
love
her.
her.
She is so friggin' funny. I mean, just the stuff she does. And she does it all by herself. She don't have no
Right?
stunt. Well, this woman is falling downstairs. She is doing the most, I mean, even on SNL, when she was on SNL, I was cracking up because she's hilarious. That's why
Yeah,
I
I know.
love it. It's funny.
I know her stunt double and stuff like that, and her stunt double has nothing but good things to say about her. They love working with her, so
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's people like that, and that's where that trust comes in again. It's like being open minded and let people go, because you can give them a scene, and it's like, hey, can I try something? It's like, yeah, let's go. You know, when I give an actor instructions and stuff like that, I give them a base. I give them like, okay, here, this is your character, and this is kind of where your background is. Now go with it and let them create it, because that's their job. That's what they were hired for. You know, I don't tell the DP, you know, how to shoot it. You know, I can say, let's get a wide shot here and this and that. And then he can come up as like, what if we dollied across here? It's like brilliant, because that's what they do. Let people do what they do. Actors the same way. Let them do what they do. Give them basic guidelines. Unless they're going way off, all of a sudden they, you know, the script is supposed to be really serious and they start going off on a tangent. Like this, you got to pull them back a little bit, because later on this is not going to work. It's completely out of character for you.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I just let people go.
Yeah. I think it makes it more real. You
Absolutely,
when
absolutely.
you do that. It definitely does. So,
And that's why I love watching Robin Williams and stuff like that, because he would just go. He would just go and go and go, and you could watch him all day long, and it was magic every time.
do you remember when he was on Friends? When he was on
I
there with
don't.
Billy Crystal, there's a scene where he goes in and they sit down on the couch with the rest of the people in the cast, and him and Billy Crystal go into this big rant about he thought his wife was cheating on him and come to find out she's really sleeping with Billy. You're gonna have to watch that. It's hilarious, I
Oh,
swear.
I'm going to dig it up, because I thought I saw pretty much all of Robin Williams' little clips. I didn't see that one.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
there's some things I put it out there on my Facebook page. It was a little bit of trivia about the Friends, because there is a scene, and I don't think anybody's even caught it. And I know that the production people didn't catch it when they were doing the cutting, but in one of the scenes, you can actually see where you're staring out the door because they were talking. One was facing this way and this way, and you look out the door. And you could actually see the boom guy's leg in his jean shorts and his gym shoes. And I asked everybody, I was like, tell me where this is if you can. Basically, it was a
Yeah,
trivia type thing. You know, I never got one response for that.
really, really.
I don't think anybody even, caught it. But like
No.
the comedians, it's fun,
Oh yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
is. I love it.
We did an action movie, and pretty much the whole cast was comedians. It was Bobcat Goldthwait and somebody else, and this is where I got it from. The director says, you know, all my lead guys, and they're gangsters. They're supposed to be gangsters and stuff like that, and they were all stand up comedians, and they were brilliant. And they didn't play it as funny. They played it the way it was. But like I said, they were able to go off the cuff and stuff. All of a sudden, they get in a shootout. We had a big shootout in the diner, and he would just all of a sudden, he's like, "Ah," just like, wow, that's really cool.
So I'm going to ask you the same thing I ask everybody. And I ask because, I just want to know, do you have a motto that you live your life by?
Uh, I don't. I mean, there's many you can come across and stuff like that. And if I had one, I would probably say live every day like it's your last. You know, enjoy it like it's your last, because one of those days you're going to be right. And it's not worth worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. It's just not worth it. Enjoy it while it's around. So I think that if I was going to pick one, that would probably be it.
Yeah, you never know if you're even going to be here, you know?
Exactly. Especially in my field and stuff like that. I've had, I mean, it's become really safe and stuff like that. And it was much more rigorous when I was first starting, and people were getting maimed and hurt a lot more than they are now. Um, but yeah, you just don't know. It can be your last day, and you just don't have any kind of clue. Just wrong place, wrong time.
That's true. That happens a lot. I
Yep.
mean, I've had a couple close calls, really, and it's not going to stop me from living my life, because I'm still going to continue to live my life and not put myself in a bubble just because of what could have happened, you know? Oh,
Well, I've had more than a close call. I've
I know.
been around twice when something happened and it ended up in death. Um,
Hmm.
you know, and friends and colleagues of mine, and it's tough, and it's weird. The first time it happened and stuff like that, and we do the funeral and stuff like that, and we try to be upbeat and stuff about it. And it was like, doesn't this make you think about what you're doing? It's like, no, because okay, he's gone, but he went out doing what he wants to do. He went happy. That's where I want to go. I don't want to be miserable. I want to. I know what the risk is. We accept the risk, and I look at life way different than probably most people because I deal with death every day. That's just the way I live. So, death is just a part of living.
But you're going to have one hell of a ride on your way out the door, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I concur.
But it is. I mean, there's too many things in life that can bring you down and stuff like that. Sometimes you can't avoid it and stuff like that. But you got to almost shake it off and just say, all this shit isn't worth it because tomorrow, if this is my last day, tomorrow it's somebody else's problem. I don't have to worry about it. So as sad as that may sound, it's true.
It is. It definitely is. All right. So I'm going to thank you for coming on. I don't want to hold you up. And we're going to thank everybody who will be watching this eventually when they get to it. And I mean, we do this so we better educate people and let them know, more about the actual people who are working on these movies. And I love doing this. I really do.
Oh, I do too. And you said you have you mentors people. I do the same thing because it's not like that anymore. When I got in, that's the way it was. And now you're not, you're kind of on your own. And I hate that. I love taking people by the hand. It's like, come on, let me show you the way and you can go from there, but let me give you at least get you on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're bringing it back. That's what we're doing. We're bringing back the old school.
We're coming back the old school way.
Hey, they like it.
Yep, I agree.
All right, you guys, we are going to log off. I want to thank everybody who is watching. We are definitely thanking Chuck. He is hilarious. So thank you guys.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Have a good one.
I remember that night when I first gave my heart to yours, I was scared and feeling insecure. You told me, my darling, even on your darkest days, you'd always reassure